Welcome to I Told My Story YouTube channel. I'm Sam. Max, I told you not to watch so many YouTube videos last night. Look, class is about to start and you'll fall asleep again, I scolded. Max frowned and turned to me. Oh, shut up. I might have stayed up late, but I'm not sleepy, he said stubbornly. Your eyes say otherwise, I challenged. How about a bet? Let's have a staring competition, and the first one to close their eyes loses. Max crossed his arms and looked at me defiantly. Deal, he said. So what does the loser have to do? Smiling, I said, the loser has to do whatever the winner says for a week. Max nodded confidently. All right, I agree. Ready? We began staring into each other's eyes. The classroom buzzed with noise and the teacher's voice echoed in the background as she started the lesson. Max's eyelids began to droop slowly. Within a few minutes, his eyelids couldn't resist any longer and closed. You lost, I exclaimed cheerfully. You closed your eyes. Max immediately protested. No, it doesn't count. Something got in my eye. Shaking my head, I smiled. Don't be a sore loser, Max. You lost the bet. Now, you have to do whatever I say for a week. By the way, I'm Sam. I'm diligent, disciplined, and successful in my studies at school. I also always help my mom at home and take out the trash. Max, on the other hand, is my complete opposite. Instead of studying, he cheats, avoids house chores, and is always playing computer games. He stays up late watching videos and comes to school sleepy. It was dinner time in the kitchen. Mom, we made a bet today and Max lost, I began. Mom looked up curiously. Really? What was the bet? She asked. It was a staring contest, I said laughing. Max couldn't hold out and blinked first, so now he has to do whatever I say for a week. Mom started laughing. Max blushed slightly and stood up angrily. Thanks for the meal, Mom, he said, and just as he was about to leave the kitchen, I interrupted. Where are you going? You'll be washing the dishes all this week. Max paused, his face showing anger, but he couldn't say anything. Watching Max wash the dishes after dinner truly was a sight to behold. He was muttering under his breath, but keeping his promise. The next day, we were in the school cafeteria. Max was with his friend Mike, who was as lazy and mischievous as he was. Is the bet still on? He asked. Smiling, I said, yeah, it is. Can I make Max do whatever I want to? He asked mockingly. Only if I allow it, I said, laughing. Max's face showed anger. I turned to him and said, for 5 minutes, you'll do whatever Mike says. Max nodded angrily. Mike's face lit up with a mischievous grin. You're going to bray like a donkey in the middle of the cafeteria for 5 seconds, he said. Max's face turned red, but he didn't want to break the bet. He stood up angrily and started braying like a donkey in the middle of the cafeteria. Hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. Everyone stopped and began laughing. Mike wanted to take it further. Now, I want you to flap your arms like a rooster and crow, he said. Max stood up angrily again and took a deep breath and started flapping his arms and crowing like a rooster. Everyone in the cafeteria was laughing hysterically. After school, when we got home, Max and I were watching YouTube on the TV. Suddenly, Max shouted, My favorite YouTuber posted a new video! Yeah! Just then, Mom came into the room. Kids, the trash in the yard needs to be taken out and the grass needs to be mowed, she said. Max immediately turned to Mom and said, Sam will do it all. I looked at him laughing. I guess you forgot about the bet, Max. You have to do it all, I said. Max's face showed anger, but remembering the bet, he reluctantly went out to the yard. He angrily gathered the trash and then got out the lawnmower to cut the grass. Watching Max work in the yard was really entertaining. He was drenched in sweat and grumbling. My twin brother, who was used to staying up late, was exhausted this time. He passed out on the couch that night, and Mom and I laughed when we saw him. The next day in class, I was working on the homework the teacher had given us. I was focused when Max suddenly appeared beside me. Sam, give me the homework when you finish so I can copy it, he said with a cunning smile. I got angry and frowned at him. "No, you'll do your own homework. School is almost over and you need to get your act together," I shouted. Max looked at me with a sly smile. "The bet ends in just one day. After that, I'll make you do whatever I want," he said threateningly. After lunch in the school corridor, Mike and Max were talking animatedly. Mike pulled a single piece of paper from his pocket and turned to Max. "Max, you won't believe it, but we got all the answers to the final exams," he said. Max, surprised, asked, "How did you do it?" Mike said with a sly smile, "A kid from the neighboring class snuck into the school last night and stole the questions. We'll pass this year without studying," and burst out laughing. Max joined him, laughing. At that moment, I approached them. "What are you laughing about?" I asked. Mike gave me a sly look to brush me off and said, "We're still laughing at Max braying like a donkey in the cafeteria the other day." I sensed they were hiding something, but I couldn't figure out what it was. That evening, Max and I were in our room. I was studying for the exams while Max lay on his bed playing games on his phone. I turned to him and asked, "Exams are starting. Why aren't you studying?" Max looked up with a sly smile and said, "There's no need." Reminding him it was the last day of the bet, I said, "I won't tell you to do anything anymore, but if you don't study, you won't graduate this year." Max turned to me and confidently said, "Don't worry. I guarantee I'll graduate. I can even help you if you want." Surprised, I asked, "What do you mean?" Max came over and showed me a picture on his phone. "Look, this photo has all the answers to the exams." Suddenly, I got really angry. "Max, did you steal the questions? That's a serious offense," I shouted. Max, in a relaxed manner, said, "Don't worry, I didn't do it. A kid from the neighboring class did." I was furious. "Max, you can't do this. It's a very unethical thing to do. You should study and pass the exams on your own," I shouted. Though I was angry, it saddened me that my brother was still trying to graduate by cheating. This situation showed his habit of avoiding responsibility, which deeply disappointed me. Exam weekend arrived. We were frequently taking exams, and Max was incredibly relaxed during each one. Every time I asked him, "Please tell me you're answering the questions without looking at the stolen answers," Max always replied confidently, "Don't worry, I studied myself." But I had my doubts. Max's calmness seemed odd to me. A week had passed and our teacher came to the class to announce the graduates. We were all very excited. Just as the teacher was about to read the names from the paper on her desk, the principal walked in and whispered something in her ear. The teacher's face suddenly filled with surprise. We waited silently, trying to understand what was happening. After the principal left, the teacher turned to us with a sad expression and said, "Unfortunately, the students who stole the exam questions have been identified from the camera footage. All of these students will repeat the year." We were shocked. I immediately looked at Max, and he was watching the teacher with a blank expression. The teacher started reading the names. "Marty," she said. Marty looked down sadly. Then, "Mike," she said. Mike also looked down. I thought, oh no, Mike was Max's closest friend, and now it must be Max's turn. My heart started pounding and I held my breath waiting. The teacher scanned the classroom for a moment, then turned to us and said, "Unfortunately, these two friends from our class will repeat the year. Everyone else has graduated. Congratulations." I looked at Max in shock. "How did this happen? How did you answer without looking at the stolen answers?" I asked. Max smiled and said, "You're not the only smart one in the family, brother." That night, I deleted all the stolen exam answers from my phone and started studying for the exams. I answered all the questions myself. At that moment, I felt proud of my brother. Max not using the stolen exam answers was a sign that he was now on the right path. Being able to achieve this was a big step for him. Now, Max and I do all the housework together. Thanks to the bet making him do whatever I wanted for a week, taught Max to be responsible. By the way, would you like to join me in a staring contest? My record is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. What's your record? Let us know in the comments and let's see who can last the longest.